My husband's work wife demanded he skip our 10th wedding anniversary for her birthday dinner because it was during office hours. Now, they are both screwed. My husband's work wife demands that he skip our wedding anniversary for her birthday dinner because it's during office hours. Sarah from accounting started as my husband's project partner 3 years ago. I didn't think much of it at first. They worked on the Henderson account together, stayed late sometimes, grabbed coffee during breaks. Normal colleague stuff, right? Then she started texting him at 9 p.m. about urgent work matters that were just complaints about her boyfriend. She'd call during our date nights because she needed advice about her apartment hunt. My husband Jake always answered because he felt bad leaving a coworker hanging. I tried being understanding. I really did. But when she showed up at our house on a Sunday crying because her boyfriend dumped her, expecting Jake to console her for 4 hours while our kids wondered why daddy couldn't play with them, I knew this had crossed a line. Jake didn't see it though. She's just going through a rough time, he'd say. She doesn't have many friends. I'm just being supportive. Supporting her became his second job. She'd monopolize his lunch breaks, drag him to help her move furniture, even convinced him to be her +1 to her cousin's wedding because she didn't want to go alone. I watched my husband slowly become someone else's emotional support system, while our own relationship got the leftover scraps of his attention. The worst part was how she'd sweetly acknowledge my existence when we'd run into each other. "Oh, hi, Emma," she'd chirp, then immediately turn to Jake with some inside joke from work. I felt like a third wheel in my own marriage. But here's the thing about being pushed too far. You either break or you get strategic. I chose strategic. I started documenting everything, not to sue or expose anyone, but for my own sanity. Every text she sent after work hours, every weekend interruption, every boundary she crossed. I also started rebuilding. I joined book club, took up pottery, reconnected with old friends. I stopped waiting for Jake to choose our marriage and started choosing myself. Jake noticed the shift. Suddenly, I wasn't available to listen to his Sarah stories. I had plans when he wanted to complain about her latest crisis. When he asked what was wrong, I simply said I was giving him space to manage his work relationships however he wanted. 6 months passed like this. I built a life that didn't revolve around competing for my husband's attention. Jake started coming home to an empty house twice a week while I was at pottery class. He'd text asking about dinner, and I'd respond that I'd already eaten with friends. The dynamic shifted, but not enough. Sarah still had her hooks in deep. Then came the anniversary situation. Our 10th wedding anniversary fell on a Thursday this year. I booked us a nice dinner reservation months in advance at the restaurant where we'd had our first date. Jake seemed excited, even bought a new shirt for it. Everything was perfect until Tuesday, when Sarah found out our anniversary coincided with her 35th birthday. She walked into Jake's office that morning and announced she was having a birthday dinner Thursday at 7 p.m., and everyone from their department had to attend. "It's during office hours technically," she said, looking directly at him, "so it's basically mandatory." Jake came home that night looking sick. He hemmed and hawed before finally admitting Sarah expected him at her birthday dinner on our anniversary because it was during office hours, even though it was clearly after work. I just stared at him, really looked at him for the first time in months. This man, who I'd married in front of 150 people, who'd promised to put our relationship first, was actually considering missing our 10th anniversary for his work wife's birthday party. "You're going to go, aren't you?" I asked quietly. He couldn't meet my eyes. "She'll make my work life hell if I don't," he mumbled. That's when something inside me clicked into place. Not anger, not hurt, just crystal clear clarity. I smiled and said okay. Jake looked shocked but relieved. I spent the next 2 days making calls. Thursday arrived. Jake left for work in the morning mentioning he'd try to leave Sarah's dinner early. I didn't respond. At 6:45 p.m., while Jake was presumably at Sarah's birthday dinner, I was at our anniversary restaurant, but not alone. I'd invited Tom, Jake's boss, and his wife Linda for dinner. I'd called Tom earlier that week mentioning I wanted to discuss some concerns about office boundary policies affecting employee families. He was intrigued enough to accept. We had a lovely dinner. I explained how work relationships were affecting personal lives, using carefully chosen hypothetical examples. Tom's wife Linda turned out to be a former HR director who had strong opinions about professional boundaries. By dessert, Tom was taking notes about new policies he wanted to implement about after-hours work events and appropriate colleague interactions. Jake called me 8 times during dinner. I didn't answer once. When I got home at 10 p.m., Jake was pacing the living room. His face went from relief to confusion when he saw me dressed up. "Where were you?" he demanded. "Our anniversary dinner," I replied. I wasn't going to waste that reservation. His face went pale. "Emma, I'm sorry. I tried to leave, but Sarah," I held up my hand. "Sarah's going to find the office very different next week. Tom's implementing new professional boundary guidelines." "Oh, and happy anniversary, Jake." I walked upstairs, leaving him standing there with his mouth open.